Hi everyone, my name is Kayla and welcome back to Kay's Hidden Shelf, a place where we talk about books. And today we're going to be discussing the books that I read in January, as well as what I'm hoping to read in February. I am a mood reader, so these books might change a little bit, but I'm hoping to keep most of them on the list. We're going to start off by discussing the books that I've read in January, as well as the ones that I'm going to end up carrying over into February, just because I didn't have enough time to get to all of a book. I may have started some and not finished them, but I do want to keep going. One of those is the Complete Short Stories by Flannery O'Connor, and this was part of a read-along that was happening between different booktubers. I'll put their channels down below so you can join in on the live discussion, which should be happening soon. But I got almost halfway. I don't know if you can see that there. About there. This wasn't what I was expecting. They're good. There are some really good ones in here. A lot of them left me confused, is the best way to describe them. Others shocked, and I needed to put this down for a little bit. But they're very interesting in the sense of they make you think, they take you in directions you're not expecting, or they're just very simple and lighter reads. So there's been a nice mix of it anyway from what I've read so far. I've heard really good things about the stories coming up, so I'm excited to get to the rest of this as we move into February. The next one on this list is one that I did finish, and that was The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. I'll put an image here, but I did talk about this already in my January TBR and mid-month check-in. This was amazing. If I could have stopped everything I was doing and reread it from start to end again, I would have in a heartbeat, but there's a lot of books to get to. It was a slow burning book, but not boring. There was a lot going on. There was a lot of things to keep track of. And maybe that's just me, because I found with Sanderson's writing that he drops a bunch of hints early on in his stories that end up building into the conclusions later on. So I was really trying to catch those if I could with this book, and I'm so glad I took the time that I did with it. It ended up taking me a few months to finish, but I was really just taking my time and enjoying the journey. So this did end up being a 5 out of 5 star rating for me. I loved everything about it. I loved the action, the politics, different perspectives that we get to see through the characters as they're going through the story was just well done, and I am really looking forward to continuing on with the series to see what Sanderson does with his Stormlight archives. The next book on this list is The Expert Systems Champion, and this is the second book in a duology of novellas written by Adrian Tchaikovsky, the first one being The Expert Systems Brother. And I did a non-spoiler review for that one, so I'll leave a link down below if you're interested in hearing about that. I won't get too much into the Expert Systems Champion because spoilers, but basically the character development was well done. We continue on with our characters, and the story does continue to expand. The world does expand too. There were just a few areas that didn't feel as satisfying for me. So that's probably my own personal experience from that. It just didn't feel as good as the first one. Still some fantastic ideas in this, but I ended up giving it 4 to 5 stars because the world, the characters, the story, really well thought through. There were just some areas that didn't really work for me. The next book on this wrap-up is The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. It is the first book in the Dandelion Dynasty, and it's the first of 4. The 4th one will be coming out this year in June. So far, I'm really enjoying it, and I didn't think I would, which was surprising when I started it. So it definitely has a lot going for it, but there are some aspects that I think would make it difficult for someone to pick it up, especially if they're newer to fantasy or some denser reads. I'm going to talk about all of this in a separate non-spoiler review video when I do finish it today, but so far I'm happy I went through this. I've read it. There's a lot to it, a lot of politics, action. There is just plot upon plot, and there's a lot to think of and a lot to talk about. So stay tuned for the video that I'll be putting out with that non-spoiler review. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens at the end of this book, and I'll have a star rating once I finish it. The last book that I ended up finishing this month was The Girl in the Tower by Katherine Arden. This is the second book in the Winternight trilogy, the first being The Bear and the Nightingale, and this is actually a part of a buddy read on Evie's channel. She Was Only Evie. I'll leave links down below to her YouTube and Discord. There will be a live show to discuss this book coming up in February, and we're going to be continuing on with book 3, which is The Winter of the Witch. And of course, there'll be a live discussion for that too, but I'm sure we're all going to be discussing in the Discord as well. You guys, this series was unexpectedly amazing. I ended up giving this 5 out of 5 stars. I loved everything about it, even the moments that made me want to just throw my book, which would be a bad idea because I was reading it on Kindle. But it had toyed with my emotions. It left me curious to Russia's history. I now want to read more Russian works because of this trilogy, and there's a lot to break down in this, and of course I can't talk about it too much without spoilers because it's the second book in a trilogy. What I can say is the character work, fantastic. We get a glimpse of, I believe the author says she set this series in 1400s Russia mixed with folklore. Absolutely well done. We get to see not just the world, but how the people in this world view their roles in society, how that impacts our characters, and the dark fairy tales that were brought into this made it thrilling. I was on the edge of my seat in some cases, and like I said, my emotions were just toyed with, and I was angry in a lot of this and yelling at the characters, but I loved this. This is definitely going to be a series, I know I'm not done, but this is going to be a series that I think I'm going to be rereading often. It just has so much in it. I'm sure I've already missed things and I want to go back and reread it for that reason, see if I can catch anything I missed. The Bear and the Nightingale, which is the first one, give it a try if you are on the fence. The Girl in the Tower continues to amaze, and I'm really looking forward to The Winter of the Witch. Stay tuned for that one. So a book I wasn't able to finish in January was The Voice of War by Zack Argyle. I am going to bump that over into my February TBR because I really do want to read this. I've heard nothing but good things and I'm curious to dive into it. I've heard that if you like Stormlight Archive, as I do, you will probably end up liking this. So I'll keep you guys posted on that one. This one is going to be a priority read for me in February. And since we're in that topic, let's jump into what I'm going to read in February. So next to The Voice of War, we have The Emperor's Blades by Brian Staveley. This is a buddy read happening over on Alan's channel at the Library of Allenxandria. I'll leave a link in the description below if you'd like to join in with us. But let me just read the synopsis for you. The Emperor of Anur is dead, slain by enemies unknown. His daughter and 2 sons, scattered across the world, do what they must to stay alive and unmask the assassins, but each of them also has a life path on which their father set them on. Destinies entangle with both ancient enemies and inscrutable gods. That sounds really cool. It sounds like it's going to have adventure, mythology. I'm not sure if it's going to have a magic system or not, but there's probably going to be some politics in here too. I'm looking forward to this one. The next book on this list we kind of talked about already, but The Winter of the Witch by Katherine Arden. This is the last book in the Winternight trilogy. Again, this is a buddy read happening at Evie's channel. Link is in the description if you want to join in. I just need to know what happens, you guys. That's all I have to say. It sounds amazing. I need to know what happens to our characters and with the world and all of these fairy tales that are inspiring it. So I'm really looking forward to it. So the next one is the Frelserien Battle of Erebor by Lynette Charrier. I hope I'm saying your name right. This is an e-arc that I received from the publisher to review, and I'm looking forward to reading it. It sounds really interesting. It sounds like it's a mix of fantasy with lore. There's probably going to be some action in this. I'll read a little bit of the synopsis for you. 100 years of peace have shattered, and the gods have sent the most unlikely of heroes, mortals. On the planet Aeon, 100 years of peace have been ended after the kingdom of Elmoria invaded the neighboring kingdom of Tharon. Desperate to regain their lands and citizens, the Therians beseech the gods to deliver Frelserien to them, mythical prophets who in past have used their power of the gods to bring peace to the land. This sounds like it's going to have a mix of old school fantasy in it too. I'm going to keep you posted on this, but I'm really looking forward to jumping in and reading what this has in store. The last book on my TBR for this month is Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. This is book 2 in the Stormlight Archive. It took a lot of willpower to not just jump into this right away after The Way of Kings, and because it's a chunkier book, I'm probably going to be reading this over the next couple months, just because I do enjoy taking my time with them. And it is a big book at around 1,300 pages. There's a lot of detail into this, I imagine, and I really want to take my time with it. So I'll be starting it, but I probably won't be finishing it. So that's the wrap up, as well as what I hope to read in February. I'd love to hear what you guys are reading right now, or what you plan to read in February. Are you guys going to take part in any of the buddy reads, or maybe a different buddy read that's going on? I'd love to hear what you're going to be reading. In the meantime though, thank you for watching, and like always, take care of yourself, guys.